All right, so if you are right-handed, you want to put your supplies on your right-hand side. You don't want to have your paint on the left and then you're having to cross over to grab your supplies. Everything should be on the right hand, so you just quickly do this motion. If you're right-handed, if you're left-handed, then put it on the left-hand side. You can have things in front of you, it's fine if you're just reaching up and down. We're going to start by working on our stationery textured paper, so pull that one out first. Your tables are covered with butcher paper because the paint sometimes does go through. So don't have anything underneath the paper you're working on so you don't ruin your other pages or your line paper or your portfolio envelopes. So you got some water, we've got your brushes, and you got your paint. This paint was from last year, so as you can see, it's not kept well. If this were our makeup palette and a client sat down, you were my client, and you see that I opened this palette, what would you think of me? Messy. Would it be clean? No. Would you want me to touch your face with it? No. Absolutely not. Would you pay money for it? No. Heck no. I pay you to not touch me with that, right? So, we have to make sure that we keep our things clean. We have to have pride in them and make them look nice, okay, for the next time that we use it. If we mess it up, we got to clean it up. All right, so I'm going to scoot this down so on this camera up here you guys can see. And then you can adjust yourself as needed. Please do take your phone if you have it in front of you. If not, if it's charging, it's fine. But take a picture of your table setup. You should always have a nice, neat, fancy setup. Professional, nice, clean, okay? And that way too you know for next time what you need for setup. All right, we're gonna start with our thin brush, the thinnest brush that you have. What we're going to do is we're going to prep our brush. So we're gonna take the brush and we're gonna dip it into the water. What you never want to do is you never want to smash the brush like so, because it messes up your bristles. If you pay $30 for a brush, you want to take care of it, right? Of course, you want it to last. So you always want to use the belly. The belly of the brush is in the middle of the bristle right there. That's the belly, okay? So with the belly of the brush, and what we're going to do is you're going to push the brush down to the bottom of the cup of water and roll it. And so you're just swiping sideways. You're not jamming it in there. It's just like when you put mascara on. You don't jam the mascara on your eyelashes, right? You're nice and gentle. And then you're gonna take the brush and you're gonna lift it up off. Don't let it touch the bottom. And then you're gonna roll it. Doesn't matter if you have the eggshell little plastic carton or a brush, cup holder, whatnot. Roll it inside the water. Inside the water. Just not touching the bottom, so that way you can clean the side of the bristles. Then you're gonna wipe on the lip of the cup. Just wipe the liquid off. And then you're gonna take your napkin and you're gonna push down where the bristles are coming out of the metal part, okay? Push it down, and if there's any pigment, it's still dirty. If the water is clear and clean, you're good to go. So push that down. Do it again if you need to, if it's still dirty. To wipe our brushes, we don't jam and we don't like stab it and roll it around because we fray our bristles, we mess them up. You're going to close the napkin on and over the bristle of the brush and swipe up. Now, to get a nice, clean, pointy brush for next time, you're going to roll and swipe. So as you're swiping, you're gonna roll the bristle so that way it's nice and smooth, nice and pointy. If you ever have a makeup brush or any kind of brush that's kind of the ends are like froze looking and frayed, take a little bit of mousse or a little bit of gel and then do this motion with your napkin. You don't ever want to touch the bristle because you have oil in your fingers on your hands, okay? And then it's nice and pointy, let it dry that way, and for next time it'll do good. It'll be ready for you, okay? That's how you take care and prep your brushes. Here we go. We're going to take a little bit of water in our brush. We're gonna start with our purple color. So a little bit of water, don't do a lot because then you drown the color. Drop off the water in your paint. It's the third one next to the brown and the blue. So if you notice that there's a big old puddle of water, it's because you drowned the color, the paint. So pick up your brush, drop it off on your napkin, and watch it absorb all the excess liquid, okay? If not, then all you're doing is loading, and you don't want to jab the brush in there. You're using the belly of the brush to roll the brush into the paint so it picks up the bristles. Once it is fully loaded, okay, if it's loaded correctly, this paint is going to take you a long way and you're not going to run out fast. Okay, we're going to do a long rectangle up and down like this, like a skyscraper. Skyscraper, okay? We're going to edit that part out. All right, so you're going to start very gently. You're going to start from one side and you're going to go across like so. Make a line. You're going to scoot down a little bit, start in the same spot, go across, pick up. Go across and pick up. You got to try your best. My hand is a little shaky. You got to try your best to get the even amount of space in between each line. Make sure from right to left that you have the same amount of spacing. Take your time. Don't rush it. And you should not be like holding onto the brush, holding onto the brush with dear life. Your hand's gonna hurt. Chill, relax. You know, like Selena does like this, like como la flor, and she's dancing and singing. Her hand is like kind of like doing this sway, and it like looks so flawless. You want your hand to do that. Okay, relax it. Just let the brush lay in your hand and let the movement of your hand paint on the paper. Don't force it like a pen or a pencil. Be gentle with it. So as you continue, try your best to keep an even amount of spacing between each line and to start and stop in the same spots from the right to the left. It seems pretty basic. You're like, yeah, I can do that. And then you're doing it and you're like, oh, okay, maybe not. Maybe not so much. Okay? Another thing I need you to notice, go down as far as you can. Another thing I need you to notice is look how many lines you got out of one good load of paint on your brush. So a little goes a long way, right? Maybe not your first time, maybe your second time. You're like, no, miss, I just got 3 lines in and that was it. So then we got to practice on loading our brush. Now, to save our water, you're going to first tap your brush off on your napkin. Get rid of all the excess pigment first on the napkin. Again, slide on the napkin. Use the belly of the brush. Then you're going to insert your brush into the cup. Because if you have a bunch of paint in your brush, then your water gets cloudy fast. And you don't want that. Because then you have to get up, waste time, and go change your water a lot. And if you're at a carnival, sometimes water is like a long ways away and you just can't. So you gotta save your water as best you can. So go ahead and roll it around the side wall of the cup. Make sure it's not touching the bottom when you roll it. And then wipe on your napkin. If there's no pigment on your napkin, then you're good to go. Squeeze the brush in between the napkin and then roll and swipe so it's nice and pointy. And you're good to go. Good thing your phone wasn't over there. It's okay. So now let's get our second brush. Okay? Load your second brush with a little bit of water. And the next color that we're gonna do is green. So load up really good. Now this brush, it might be big, it might be small. The bristles might be different, it's okay. If there's a lot of water in there, you accidentally put too much water, again, tap your brush onto your napkin. It will absorb the excess moisture, all that extra water. So really load. Wipe sideways, wipe, wipe, wipe. okay? And what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and go diagonal. We're gonna go from the upper right-hand corner to the lower left-hand corner. So same, except now you're doing in a diagonal manner. The spacing still needs to be the same. Your start and stop line and points need to be the same, but now you're just working diagonally. Start, stop, start, stop. It's a lot easier to say, yeah, I can do that, but when you actually are doing it, it does take a little bit of skill and technique to get it done. Like mine went crooked this way. And it's going this way. If you take a look how I'm leaning, my body is not straight. I'm leaning to this direction. So naturally, my hand as I'm painting, it's gonna curve. So when you're cutting hair, you're doing makeup, you're doing highlights, your body should always be nice and square and straight. So the foundation techniques for painting do transpire over to your techniques when you're doing Cosmo stuff. So go ahead and wipe your napkin with the brush and then dip it into your water. And then clean your brush, go around the sides of the cup. Tap to your napkin, make sure it's nice and clean. Fold your napkin and you're good to go. We're gonna take our last brush now. Add a little bit of water. And we're going to go ahead and do our orange. So load your brush with some orange. Again, if it's too wet, tap your napkin, absorb all that excess moisture and water. Load your brush. My brush that I'm using, this brush is a flat chiseled brush. So it's gonna give me a different line, but same technique. Now I'm gonna go from the left to the right. So left, down to the right. Left, down to the right. Left, right. Left, right. Again, these brushes are old, so your bristles might not be perfectly smooth or straight. They might be frayed a little bit, no big deal. Let's just practice on the technique. Go all the way down as far as you can. Wipe your brush on your napkin before you wipe the belly of the brush on the bottom of the cup or container, and then the belly of the cup and container. To wipe on your napkin to make sure it's nice and clean. Squeeze the brush with the napkin and you are good to go. So just like when you were, in kindergarten, you started to learn how to write, they made you do little circles and squigglies and lines and such. This is the same concept. You're at a different level, you know how to do your ABCs, but now we've got to learn how to do our geometric figures and designs. Just like when we did henna, all of this ties in. Okay, it's all a line, a circle, a curve, a dot, okay, to create a geometric figure. All right, from here we're gonna put that to the side and let's go ahead and get our strip. Now with your strip, what we are going to do, I'm gonna show you the pre-done. We're gonna use red, blue, red, and yellow. We're going to take our brush and we're gonna start on one point and go all the way across to the opposite end. So whatever you gotta do to your table so that you can go across and not pick up your paper. If you need to move things, go ahead and rearrange your table setup. So you're gonna start on one end and go all the way across, okay? You're gonna start with the first brush that you used. Load it up with, it doesn't matter which side, know that it's both the same. You're good, good question though. So we're gonna load it up with a little bit of water and we're going to use our blue. So load your brush with some blue. You're gonna notice with this paper, it's not gonna absorb the paint like the other paper. It's gonna be different. So we're gonna start on the top. You're gonna do a little wiggle like a mountain or a camelback, up, down. Don't lift your brush. Make sure that these spaces between each arch, each hump or saddle, they're all the same. Up, down, up, down. You're gonna notice that you're gonna run out of paint, and that's okay. It's an ombre effect from the beginning all the way to the end. You want the top of the camel's hump to be at the same point across, and you want the bottom of the cow's belly to be the same all the way on the bottom across. You run out of paint at the very end, but look how much paint you got all the way across. Now, if you notice, if you kind of move your paper around and the light, or the reflection of the light hits it, it doesn't dry immediately. Again, because this paper does not absorb the same as the textured paper. So go ahead and wipe the excess color off on your napkin. Wipe the bottom of your cup, swirl it around, and then remove excess pigment. We're gonna move on to our second brush. We're gonna pick up our red pigment, or red color. If you don't have any red in or any in one of the colors, you can ask your neighbor or someone in front or on your table team to let you take some of your color. All right, for this one, if you watch me first, my brush is not a very good brush to do this with, but this is the point of the technique. I'm not gonna lift my brush up at all. It's gonna be touching at every point, but at some point I'm gonna push down, then I'm gonna lift up. I push down like a push-up, okay? So I'm gonna go here, I'm gonna go straight, I'm gonna push down, lift up, straight, push down, lift up, oops, straight, push down, lift up, straight, push down, okay, lift up, straight. So keep doing that motion, push down, lift up, push down, lift up. There are some brushes, again, this brush is not, the bristles are too weak, but there's some brushes that give you a really nice effect when you do this technique. It's a thin line, a thick line, a thin line, a thick line. Just by the amount of pressure you push down, your bristles will expand, and it's going to give you that flared effect. Showing you that with one brush, you can do multiple different line thicknesses or widths, depending on how much you push your bristle down. Oops, I forgot to wipe my brush on the napkin first. Some brushes, because these are old and these are cheapy little brushes, they're not good face painting brushes, they're just what we practice with. Some brushes you'll notice that they're not very good to practice with because they're cheapy, right? But really good brushes will give you really nice designs. Last one. Let's take our last brush. My brush is a chiseled brush, which means it's kind of like an eyebrow brush. It's flat and diagonal. Okay, I'm gonna go into my yellow. I'm gonna pick up some yellow pigment. And with my yellow pigment, I'm gonna start at the bottom and I'm gonna do a zigzag. So zigzag up, down, up, down, up, down. I'm running out of my yellow, so my yellow is not very thick and dark in consistency with the pigment. Up, down, up, down. And you want your consistency to be the same all the way across the board. The peaks of the top and the peaks of the bottom, you want to make sure that are even across the strip. I dipped my brush into the water again first, so always make sure to wipe first and then dip in, swirl to clean. And those are your most basic and most common techniques. Okay, right now your hands, if you stretch your hands a lot, like as far as you can, you'll feel those muscles stretching, like stretch it, stretch it, stretch it. And then when you let go, you're like, oh, your muscles kind of get warm a little bit because you exerted them. Right now, because you're a young cosmetologist, you're that little kid in gym that's got the scrawny legs, the chicken legs, and the scrawny arms, because your hands are not used to these manipulations, so they're weak. But once you get to your senior year and you do all these, and once you get into the industry and you're working with your hands, you're blow drying, you're coloring, you're filing, you're massaging, once you do all that, your muscles are going to grow, and your hand muscles are going to be more strong. Okay? So to do this, to let the brush flow within your hand, is going to come more natural than right now because this is the first time you do it. Okay? So these are the basic techniques. Okay, we've got lines and we've got squiggles, zigzags, ups and downs. Okay. If you are still working, keep working. I'd like for you to spend the last 5 minutes of class, if you will, do these techniques again, but using different colors and different brushes. Okay, maybe try all these 3 techniques on the textured paper to see the difference, because this paper absorbs and the other one doesn't, and you'll see it's very different. Okay, I'm going to come around and check on you guys. You can do it on the other side, yes. If you want another sheet, help yourself.